The Stowaway in the Snow. Working as a courier driver in Oslo often brought unpredictable days. But nothing could have prepared me for the night I encountered true terror in the silent snow-covered landscapes of Nannestad. I worked for a logistics company in Alfaset, navigating the chaotic depot at Alnabru every morning, sorting through mountains of parcels to deliver around Oslo and its outskirts in my trusty white Mercedes Sprinter. It was a cold December evening, and the snowstorm from the previous night had blanketed the region in a thick, unforgiving layer of white. My last deliveries were out in the rural area of Nannestad. The air was eerily still, and the roads were empty, save for the occasional glimmer of headlights far in the distance. I enjoyed these moments, just me, my van, and the snowy roads. It gave me time to think, to reflect, but that night, the peace I cherished would be shattered. As I left one delivery stop, my mind drifted to the warmth of home. I didn't notice it then, but at some point between deliveries, someone had slipped into the back of my van. The cargo area was tightly packed with packages, leaving little room for maneuvering. I couldn't imagine anyone even thinking of hiding there. But they did. I drove on through the narrow, icy roads leading up a small hill. The snow was relentless, and my tires struggled to find grip on the steep incline. Halfway up, the wheels spun uselessly, and the van slid back slightly. I cursed under my breath, knowing I was stuck. The headlights of the van barely penetrated the dense darkness surrounding me, illuminating only the swirling snowflakes. After several failed attempts to reverse out or gain traction, I realized I needed help. I spotted a small, dimly lit farmhouse down the road and decided to seek assistance. The walk through the snow was brisk and cold, my breath fogging up instantly in the freezing air. A kind neighbor agreed to help, grabbing a shovel and offering to use his pickup truck to help tow me out. As we approached the van, a figure emerged from the shadows near the rear doors. My heart skipped a beat. The man was tall, wearing a heavy coat and a scarf pulled up high over his face. He looked startled, almost as if he hadn't expected me to return so quickly. "Need some help here?" he asked, his voice muffled but calm. At that moment, it didn't occur to me to question why he was there. The man seemed genuinely concerned, and I assumed he was a passerby who had noticed my predicament. Between the neighbor, the stranger, and myself, we managed to free the van after several tense minutes of pushing, shoveling, and spinning tires. My relief was immense. After delivering the package at my next stop, I asked the stranger if he needed a ride. It was cold and dark, and he had been helpful, so it felt like the right thing to do. He hesitated for a moment, but then nodded. As we drove toward Mora, I tried to strike up a conversation. The man answered my questions, but his responses were curt, and his demeanor was odd, nervous, almost paranoid. He kept glancing at the dashboard camera mounted near my rearview mirror, and his hands fidgeted in his lap. Something about him felt off, but I pushed the thought aside. After all, he had helped me, hadn't he? We reached a small grocery store in Mora, and before I could say much more, He quickly thanked me, hopped out of the van, and disappeared into the shadows. I thought little of it at the time. I was exhausted and ready to finish my route. A few days later, as I was reviewing footage from the camera installed in the cargo area of my van, my heart nearly stopped. I watched in disbelief as the grainy black and white recording revealed a figure slipping into the van at an earlier stop. The person crouched low among the parcels, staying out of sight each time I opened the back to retrieve a delivery. Then came the moment I got stuck on the hill. The footage showed the figure peering out of the cargo doors, as if assessing the situation. They hesitated before jumping out, but not before briefly rummaging through a few parcels. Thankfully, nothing was stolen. They stood by the van, blending into the night, and when I returned with the neighbor, they pretended to be a passerby offering assistance. Chills ran down my spine as I realized the man I had given a ride to was the same one who had been hiding in my van. The pieces clicked into place, the nervous glances, the fidgeting, the rushed exit. He hadn't been just a stranger lending a hand. He had been a stowaway, and I had unknowingly aided his escape. For days, I wrestled with whether to report the incident. He hadn't stolen anything, and in a twisted way, he had helped me when I was stuck. But the thought of him hiding in the dark, inches away from me, while I drove through the lonely roads of Nannestad, sent shivers down my spine. In the end, I decided not to report it. Maybe I was foolish, but part of me felt grateful for his help, even if his presence was sinister. I couldn't shake the image of him crouched among the packages, waiting, calculating, and then blending seamlessly into the night. Now, every time I drive through Nannestad, I can't help but glance into the back of my van, half expecting to see a shadow lurking where it shouldn't be. That night left a mark on me, a lingering unease that no amount of time or snow can ever truly bury.